Welcome back to the House Blend, your go-to source for all things Bay Area real estate. I am your host, Nash Middleman, and today we're diving into a game changer for home sellers, pre-sale renovations with no upfront cost. Selling a house in Bay Area's competitive market means making a great first impression, but not every homeowner has the time, money, or expertise to tackle major upgrades before listing. And so that's where Freemodel comes in. They handle everything from design, construction, fronting the cost of renovations, and only getting paid when the house sells. Joining me today are Laura and Maya from Freemodel, who are here to break down how their process works, what updates actually add the most value, and how they're helping sellers maximize their profits with minimal stress. If you're a homeowner or agent looking for a smarter way to sell, you don't want to miss this conversation. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome to the House Blend. I'm your host, Nash Middleman. I have my friends Laura and Maya here, and they are from Freemodel. And I'm excited for them to tell you what their model is all about. But this is going to be a great podcast for any prospective sellers who really want to get top dollar for their home. Thanks for joining me, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So as I promised, we're going to talk about coffee for like 2 seconds. So what is par for Freemodel? How many cups of coffee would you say you drink a day?
I'll let Laura go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I love just one good cup of coffee. We were in Italy, and that is like one of the coffee capitals, and it just made me love coffee so much. So we were there 2 summers ago, and when we came back, we ended up buying one of those mocha pots that can make like espresso. Mm-hmm. And so I find that you can make good coffee depending on how you actually make the coffee, whether it's a coffee press or a mocha or a drip. So I find that I really like a mocha pot, because it makes it really condensed coffee. And my favorite is Phil's, I have to say.
Phil's is good. They use that heavy whip and like put sugar in it and make it almost taste like a milkshake.
Their mint mojitos are definitely my most favorite.
Sure.
Yeah.
Got to be careful with those because they don't tell you they use heavy whipping cream, and then they do. But yeah, shout out to Phil's that actually originated in the Bay. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
The owner and his son started in the Mission actually on 24th Street.
Yeah. Yep. The OG Phil's out there.
Yep. So
what about you, Maya? So you're a project manager. So
I'm a project manager, which means I'm usually up early, hitting the road, going to sites, meeting with clients or other vendors at different sites, sourcing materials usually. So my go-to is actually Blue Bottle. I know the founder when he started it back in the day at the farmer's market here in Berkeley before he opened anything up. And I'm a mocha girl. So I'm a mocha aficionado. Wherever I travel, I will literally drive half an hour from where I'm staying to test out what is claimed to be the best mochas in the area. And I kind of make my own list. But I love the ganache that they put there. I've reduced the amount of ganache I put in for what I like. But yeah, I usually start with 2 in the morning to get me going. One extra hot. So by the time I'm done with the first one, I'm ready to go with the second. And the baristas will know if it's a good day or bad day if I'm back for more. So that's kind of the barometer. So I can sometimes I'll go up to 4. My partner just got me the new Breville Bambino, so I gotta start dialing that in and making my own mochas at home and stuff. But back in the day I used to be a barista, so I gotta dust off those cobwebs and remember all the steps. And
I love it. Yeah, you're in the right spot then. I love that I'm talking to you too about this, because like some people are like, oh yeah, I just get like, whatever's hot at the office out of those pods. You know what I mean? I'm like, no.
I hate that kind of coffee.
There can be in some offices. We're in the tech world, so actually there could be very good quality in those pots. But yeah, some of the more standard offices, it's not necessarily going to be the best stuff out there.
You're not wrong, and I love that you're a aficionado too, because there can be some like really bougie mochas out there. Yep. You mentioned ganache, and that's cool. We got a Breville here too, and I think you're gonna really enjoy it. I actually started putting decaf in our Breville, and I didn't tell my girlfriend because our like coffee intake was just out of control. We were like getting jitters and stuff. So So be careful. That's
All
all I
right.
have to say. Be
She doesn't
careful.
watch your podcast, then, is what you're saying. You don't have to worry about it.
Well, that came to light eventually
All right.
because she was sleeping better and she wasn't like,
Off the
shaking.
walls.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, thank you for sharing that. I know in construction and renovation and stuff, like y'all drink a lot of coffee, as do we in the real estate game. But I'm excited to talk about what it is you ladies do because as part of this series, the seller series that we're will be in once this is launched. It's all about how to get sellers top dollar. And I don't know, Laura, do you want to start with like what is Freemodel and just kind of what the model is over at Freemodel?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the director of partnerships for Freemodel. We're based in Burlingame. We've been around for 5 years. And I would say that we're a full service concierge. And what that means is that we have local project directors like Maya. We have around 27, 28 in the Bay Area. We're in California, Texas, and Florida. And our project directors wear kind of three hats. So the project director, the GC, and the interior designer kind of all rolled into one. And the other thing that Freemodel brings to the table is that we cover the capital for the project to be done. So I always say from the homeowner's perspective, they pay nothing, they do nothing, and they walk away with all the profit. And then as an agent, you guys as agents aren't really supposed to be managing projects because that's a liability and also a financial burden to you if you try to, deal with that. So we
Yeah.
take on that legal and financial risk, have the homeowner sign a home improvement contract with Freemodel, deed of trust with Freemodel. That way we can just handle all of the construction, or Maya and our project directors handles all the construction. We hand it over to you as an agent, ready for market, ready to be sold, and ready for photography. So we are a one-stop shop. We will do everything from like the cosmetic upgrades, because sometimes you just, they call it like lipstick on a pig, where you just kind of, do some minor things. And then there's the other times where you really do need to do some upgrades for the kitchen, the bathroom, some landscaping. So we are a full service concierge. That's what we can
I
do.
love that. And for anyone listening, Compass also has the concierge program, but the model is just totally different. Like you guys, what's the cap on how much you guys will?
Yeah, so we will come out and do a free estimate. I think that's also a little bit different from what Compass can offer, but we will go up to 500,000 if the numbers work out. We have a formula. We don't check credit, but we do look at the loan balance because we just want to make sure we'll get paid. So the loan balance plus Freemodel's cost can't exceed 80% of the home value. So as long as it stays under 80% loan to value, we can usually do the project. And for every dollar we spend, we're always looking to get $2 for the homeowner, if not more. Our average is about a 230% return on investment. And from an agent perspective, we increase your commission by around 20% on that.
No, that's huge. A 230, I'd take that all day.
Who wouldn't?
Especially at 500,000 with it being the cap, So
and the other thing I want to mention is we do cover the capital, but we can also invoice clients too. So if there's a house that the homeowner just wants us to act as the GC and the designer, we can do that as well. So if there's a fixer-upper and the previous owners didn't do the remodel, we can invoice that project and have a designated project director do the project as well. So we're not just pigeonholed just for the pre-sale. We can do post-sale, owner-occupied, flips, things like that, because we just bill every 2 weeks.
Okay, cool. And so like what type of renovations tend to have the biggest impact on the home value in the Bay Area? I know like roofs and knob and tube. And before I say that, I just want to say that like any agent out there that is advising somebody to take on a project and do $100,000 renovation seems like a huge liability, right? Like, and to have somebody like you guys step in and handle it all, the pros, who's licensed and bonded, right? Like, no brainer.
Yeah.
So,
also, I always like to tell agents, because if you're a seasoned agent, a lot of times you have your team that you will bring into a project and you know how they will do the work. And agents don't want to give up that control, for one. And two, they know how their um, vendors work. So we have an open platform which allows agents to add their vendors into our platform. And like you said, we only work with licensed, insured, and bonded vendors. But you can add them in. There's no cost. I know some agents don't are afraid if they do that, then their people won't be available. But you can just vet them into our system and then let the project director know that you're working with. Hey, these are some vendors, some stagers, some painters, people that we like to work with, and then they can bid the project out with our project directors. So we don't want anything to get in the way of having a homeowner be able to get the best price for their house just because the agent doesn't want to give up their, working with their vendors. So we're really flexible. Like I said, we've been around for 5 years. We are kind of changing the way that agents are upgrading homes because they never really had an option. Like you said, I think your brokerage definitely put concierge on the map, but I think we're taking it kind of to the next level where we're offering this full service, and we'll go up to $500,000 for the renovation.
Yeah, our concierge program caps out at 5, and I think it's great for like little things, but it could also be used to, I don't know, supplement an Airbnb while they move out to do something like that. It's not always like the renovation costs,
Yeah, it's nice to have options, and it's nice to have more things in your toolbox. And we always say agents should have in their listing presentation one of our flyers, because it's always important for the homeowner that they're presenting to know that they have all the stops. And we know that our agents have won listings, whether it's the right fit or not, because we're not going to be the right fit for every single client. But if we are the right fit, having our flyer in the listing presentation so you let that homeowner know that you have all the resources needed to get the best price for the house. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody.
Totally. I love that you guys are local too.
Yeah, I mean, having local project directors, and like I said, we have them all scattered all over. And having someone like Maya, she's amazing, and she goes to the property. She's making sure, because I mean, construction is construction. You just never know what's going to come up. And having a point person that is there, making sure that the work's being done properly. Just that line of communication is really key, and to having a designated person instead of you as an agent managing and running to Home Depot and picking out paint color and tiles and managing subs. Like, that's a very time consuming thing. You guys should focus on what you do best, and that is talking to clients and selling homes. Give us the property to manage all of the nuances that goes into construction. And then and then we could just be a well-oiled machine working with you and just be an extension of your team.
Yeah. Say, for instance, like an agent wants to be involved in the design process or something. Like, you guys collaborate with agents too, right? So
yeah. So the way it works is, like, we get introduced by either you are finding us online separately, or you caught one of our flyers. You put in a query. I have a potential project I'm interested in. We have a back end team, and we have a huge, for us as project directors, we have a big support network at Freemodel themselves at the headquarters. We have our own in-house design team if we need to rely on them. So not all project directors have that design experience, and they don't want to bother with it. They're like, hey, this is what they said they wanted. You pick out the elements, the features, and then put together the design board to share with the agent and the client to go over that and say, okay, these are the elements we're going to put into the project in terms of design features. And then some projects who don't have that design experience are more construction background, so they manage all of that piece of it too and collaborate with our team. It's seamless. You guys don't have that, kind of, you have to talk to 3 people. It's always going to be you, the agent, the client, and the project director. It is this little throuple we're in that we're getting this project out to market as quickly as possible for the best return on investment. So when you guys reach out, we get connected. So depending on the territories, we have project directors, in specific territories. Even the LA-based project directors are in LA. We have one in San Diego. We have one up in Sacramento. So we have a few scattered throughout the Bay Area because that's where we started. We're very thick in this band. But in Florida, we have a few. In Texas, we have a few, and we're growing. And we're going to be eventually growing to other states. I've already called a certain state dibs, for next move.
Yeah.
But what I love about Freemodel, as a person who I've been in construction and project management and design my whole career, I literally as a kid, I'd come every summer, I'd go with my uncle who was a contractor, and I'd go on the job sites. That's how I got my experience, right?
Hell yeah.
Just getting put to work as a kid,
Yeah.
child labor, free. I got McDonald's, so I did get paid.
There you go.
But, or ice cream or whatever, Baskin Robbins. But, I got that background in the construction side of things. And then through my various career iterations, people have always come to me asking me to help them design stuff. And so I've done commercial, I've done residential, I've done high net worth clients, I've done my friends' places, I've done referrals, and I had my own consulting firm for a while. So it was a lot of referral based, thankfully, and I was glad about that. But what I loved about Freemodel, and the key aspect, selling aspect for me with Freemodel is it's free money. The way for your clients to look at it, it is free money. There are other platforms that do similar things to us, but they usually don't have on-site, boots on the ground project directors or managers. They're off, managing those vendors. They source via Yelp or Nextdoor or whatever, and they're like, okay, here, go get the bids for us, work with the realtor. So that there's a heavier lift on the realtor side to meet with those vendors to get them in. But then they manage that. But we give you everything in one plus the free money. So your clients don't have, if they're getting ready to sell a house, they're going to have moving expenses. They're probably going to want to put a down payment potentially on another house and not necessarily have to wait for the sale to get the money to put the down payment if they've got a nice nest egg for that. So they can start moving forward with the next phase and just let us handle this, and they get free money to do this. We don't charge interest on it. It is fixed pricing. So when I come to you and you're like, you, the agent, are going to reach out to me first, right? We're going to have a conversation. You're like, okay, this house really, I know my market. This house is, in this area, everybody likes these Eichlers. Let's take Palo Alto, for instance, right? Or in Alameda, it's Victorians. Everybody loves Victorians or Craftsmans or mid-centuries. And then we know stylistically in the market, people want certain original materials, but that are modern functionality, right? So how do we marry the design aspect to keep some of the original elements in place, but bring it up so it's functional, right? So you and I will have a conversation before we even meet with the client, before we go and tour the site. Like, I think we need inside, outside painting. I think we need some brushing up on landscaping. I ideally like to have agents get inspection reports before, because we can work off those inspection reports, because that's a big selling point too. This day and age, with the rates being so high, people want a finished turnkey home with minimal projects. They don't necessarily have the money. They've already their budget's squeezed on what they can afford, especially in the Bay Area. It's really hard. It's competitive. Not that much stuff's on there. So you really don't want to have to shell out more money or take a HELOC after the fact. Same for your homeowners. You don't want to have to take a HELOC to get your house ready to sell it. We'll handle that. But you and I talk, you're like, okay, I think we can refinish cabinets, new fixtures, new lighting, just some nice fresh paint. Maybe, instead of carpet in the bedrooms, let's see what we can do for flooring that matches, or do we need new flooring throughout? And then I'll go through your inspection report and I'm like, okay, we can address this, this, and this. We'll tour the house with the client, all three of us. We'll kind of go over stuff. What you might have envisioned, like, hey, this vanity just needs touching up. I was like, for the cost of my labor for my painter to touch it up, I can buy a brand new vanity with a nice countertop and the sink in there, and I'll update it for this pretty much the same dollar price, maybe $100 saving to paint it versus something brand new. And
Sure.
then I give you those from experience, like, hey, look, we want to save money. We don't want to get new cabinets. It's going to take my painters more time to refinish the inside because they're really damaged, to make it look decent, not look cheap. In the Bay Area, we have a lot of people are expecting a lot of return on their money for their houses. So we give you advice, we give you suggestions, then we'll talk about, okay, I think we can do these key things, these big 4 or 5 ticket items, and then let's look at what's in your inspection report. And then I'll put together a general proposal. And then we'll meet, either via Zoom or in person again, and just kind of go over it. And to your question about how do we know what we're getting? We offer the feature of a design board. So, I will put together a design board, like, okay, this room, you're going to have this fixture here. It's going to be this cabinet, this countertop, this style faucet. These are the actual elements I'm buying, not an idea of it. I'm actually going to buy these elements and they're going to go into your house, right?
Yeah.
And then we can go through that, and then you're like, you know what, I don't love this. And we do work with a lot of agents who have their own design style and they like certain things. So they know, like I'm working with an agent, I was going to do a nice mid-century house. I was going to do a nice modern European flat front, light bluish color on the kitchen cabinets. And she's like, you know what? I've had bad experiences with blue in kitchens. Can we switch it? Perfect. Fine. You know your market. I got green. We're going green. Green's going to look great in there. I'll
Yeah.
put blue somewhere else. It'll be a bathroom one, you know? So that kind of relationship, especially with us project directors, we tend to always end up having 4 or 5, maybe 6 agents that are consistent. You'll always go back generally to the same project director, where you don't even need to go through the feeder system online. You just contact us directly and say, hey, I've got another project. You give me the details. You tell me my as is value, meaning if this house were to go to market, nothing was done to it, and you put it on the market right now, what would it go for? And then you tell us based on what you think we should do to the house to make it better, to sell for more money and quicker, post-reno value, we call it. You tell us what that will be. So I take this 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 1.5 bath house, say in Alameda, right? And go to market, it's about $1 million right now. It needs a lot of work. It needs new kitchen, new bathrooms, you know, all that, new flooring, new paint inside and out. That's not a small thing. It's going to take a little bit of lift. But you know the market right now in Alameda, in like say the west side, which is hotter because it's more affordable, right? So you'd be like, okay, I can get 1.5 for this. And I'll say, okay, let me crunch my numbers, do what we're going to do. I think our budget can be around 2, maybe 250. Again, it's also permitted work. So if I need to update electrical, it's a permit. If I'm updating my, fixtures, my faucets, my plumbing, it's permitted. So it's not like, oh, we're just coming in. Yes, we're licensed and insured, and we just do stuff on, painting's one thing. It's based on each city, what the rules and regulations are related to permits. But we want to give you the most cost-effective return on investment that's going to get the clients more. So we think, you tell me, oh, it's going to sell for 1.5 if we do new kitchens, new bathrooms, new flooring, inside and out painting, and quick, nice, pretty landscaping, nothing too crazy. And we address items on the inspection. You go to market, of course, it's a hotter market because there's not on there. And so what ends up happening, your client already knows, okay, we're taking that 250 out of my potential 500. So I'm going to get 250 back, right? But realistic, we all know when we're pricing it, it's going to go for a lot more than what we think. But you guys have to be cautious. We're not pushing you to tell us, go crazy so we can go crazy to spend the client's potential additional earnings on the sale. It's more of, you guys know the market, you tell us. We don't dictate. We think the house as is this price. Post reno will be this price. It's on you, the agents, to tell us that number. And then we squeeze in where we can. We cut where we can. We're like, well, do we really need to do a new vanity in this bathroom? We can just refinish it and just put a new countertop and call it a day. And that'll save us a couple $100, But we'll work with you guys on that piece. But it's a very collaborative experience. Some clients, they don't want to hear about it. They're very attached, right? That's another challenge you have. Like, oh, but I love this fixture. I was like, yes, it's yours. You want me to take it down and save it, and you can take it with you? We're happy to do that, which I had a client ask for that. Happy to do that because you have your memories tied to it. It's whatever it may be. But we know what is going to make it work for the market to capture the most number of audience tracks, right? Be it single people, young families, people who want to age in place potentially, or who are downsizing. They're getting rid of their bigger house, say Moraga, and want to be closer to kids in Alameda, and they found this cute little bungalow they want to move into, but they want it, fixed up. And that's to Lauren's point of, hey, we can do post-sale rentals. We have projects where we're actually working on their sale, and they already bought something, and we're working on the house they're going to move into, so that they have both ends handled for them.
And is the post-sale rental like the same structure, or do they like refinance
so that would be billed directly every 2 weeks? So you have your fixed price. So the difference here is they would have to pay out of pocket, obviously, but then they know what's coming. It's not like when you work with a contractor, they need 50% up front and you got to fork up all this money, right? We'll bill you every 2 weeks based on the total value. And then at the end, if there's anything remaining greater than the 2 weeks, that's the final payout. The other advantage too, by the way, for the Freemodel pre-sale reno is you have a year to pay us back from the time we turn the project over to you guys to sell. So that's a year that if something falls through, if you guys aren't liking the market for some reason, you can pull it back off and then go back on, but you have a year to pay us back. So that's a huge buffer. You don't get that with other places. Other companies will charge you interest on that amount they've quote unquote lent you, right, to do the work. They'll keep charging you that interest until you sell it. So then your extra gains shrunk considerably if it sits on the market for too long, right?
So, or if you pull a HELOC, you got to pay that back monthly, kind of thing,
Right.
and the holding cost just spirals, and it's
Right, and HELOC's not fixed necessarily, right?
yeah,
It's adjustable. So you're bouncing around like the market's bouncing around, and you're losing your marbles, so to speak, just worrying about that piece of it versus free money. You know what you're getting. If we open up a wall, like we're going to redo a bathroom, and we always say this is just based on what we know to be true. So your inspection report will tell me there's potential issue here. We highlight, hey, we don't know until we open up the wall in the bathroom. If there's dry rot, that's a change order, not a surprise like, oh, hey, that quote I gave you for the new bathroom, it really cost me more. If prices change, we eat the cost difference. We can't come back and say, hey, the tub now is $700 versus the $500 I quoted you. Give me the $200 more. It's on us. It's fixed price for you, the client, so you have peace of mind, and that's what you're going to be having to pay back. And any change orders in the process, that's legitimate, approved change orders.
yeah,
Like I said,
that's reassuring. It's reassuring that it's collaborative too, because I know we've all seen those whitewash flips that are marketed as turnkey, and they're like not at
yeah.
all.
Or
You can
they'll
walk into
last
Home
you
Depot.
maybe 6 months, especially if you have kids, maybe less.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
suddenly, oh, the door's falling off, or my faucet's got a leak. Yeah.
You can go to Home Depot and see your whole bathroom on sale there. But the collaborativeness is great. Also, you mentioned too. I mean, people pay a premium for turnkey houses out here. It's true because a lot of the buyer profile work high profile jobs and don't want to like renovate a house. Some
Right.
people do, but people definitely pay a premium for that. Um, do you guys have any like major success stories that you've had? This year's pretty early, but in the last 5 years since you've been in business, where someone went through you guys and just like quadrupled their money?
Yeah, Laura can speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many projects that's on our website at freemodel.com. So I told you earlier, our average return on investment is about 230%, but we
Uh-huh.
definitely have some projects where it was, they put in 50 and they got, 550,000 out of the house because we don't, we're not the agent. We don't say what the as is value or what the house is going to sell for. So when you see our case studies, you can see the before and the after pictures, and you can see what the project, what the project entailed and what that price difference is. So if you go to freemodel.com, at the very top, the header, it says projects, and you can dive deep into all the different projects and the return on investment. But yeah, we definitely had those blowouts. And also sometimes, we do, the agent does the best to sell it for what price they thought, but sometimes, it's not 230%. Maybe it's just a little bit, so we do our
Yeah.
best, and we're always trying to, when we do the math to even see if this project's a doable project, we're always looking to at minimum get $2 for every dollar we spend.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
And to add to Laura's point there about that, it's where some projects you don't get that. It's not always going to be that crazy, 1.5, 2x, because part of it is the style of the project. A townhouse, you're not going to get necessarily a huge gain in return on investment because it might require a little more work. It's an older townhouse, but the key thing here is you can look at, okay, my target is of course, everybody selling a home wants to make as much money. But the flip side of that is how long are you going to sit on the market? Finished homes, as you guys know as agents, and staged homes, as you guys know as agents, those go faster. People can envision themselves getting in there. And the other piece now in California, the challenge of homeowners insurance. When you have, and that's what you started off this conversation with, the big ticket items like a roof or knob and tube wiring or stuff like that, those things will affect somebody's ability to potentially get homeowners insurance for the purchase they're making. And it's already a challenge to get homeowners insurance as current owners or people who are shopping. So
100%.
why, like if you can give somebody like, yes, we had 20 things on our inspection report, done, 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 done. And so it's like clean. There's no more termites. There's no more rodents. We've gotten rid of the asbestos on our ducting. We've updated the furnace. We've updated the water heater. Any of those key big things, knob and tube electrical, or even if it's just the type of panel, certain panels from certain generations, we know are fire hazards, or cloth wiring even. We can update that. And again, part of it is we have to balance as project directors timelines, realistic timelines. We're not going to say, oh, it's going to take us 6 weeks and we're done. Depending on the city and what we know the permitting process can be, no matter how easy it is, right? We're like, okay, realistically, this is what we got to do. So if you have, I want to get on market before X, so maybe we scale back some of the project scope a little bit, so we make sure you get the best that we can touch on to then get you guys to market where you need to hit by a certain season, or get on before a certain season, or strategically plan like, okay, we can do a bigger project that we know is going to take longer. We'll start it at this time, and then we want to be on at the end of summer or towards the end of summer where people are going to look again because of schools or moving or changing jobs, whatever it might be, right? So again, we're multifaceted as project directors. Our company being a prop tech company in itself, we're based in the Bay Area. We all have different varying experiences, but we talk with you agents. You guys give us guidance too, like, hey, you know what? This will be great. I would love if we could do the siding, but it's really not worth it for what we're going to get. And if it's going to take us longer, or windows even, God forbid, new windows. We would love to get new windows, not necessarily, retrofit. We would like to get new, nice mill guards or one of those other higher ends because it's a higher end home. But our lead time is 7 to 10 weeks. Then we got to install it, and then we got to get inspections on that stuff. That's going to push you out. And you're like, you know what? Shoot, we can just give the people a quote. And we've done that. Like certain things we haven't touched, we'll give you guys. You can always have it. And if the client did like, oh, I wanted to do an extension, we don't do extensions, but you can always have, I've got my plans approved. We can price out the cost, and you can leave that with the potential homeowners. Like, hey, this is a vendor we can reach out to. This is what it's going to cost us to get potentially this thing done if it's something that we can do within our scope, right? But just to give somebody an idea of the true cost of what it might be. Or if you have habitable space, like say a den area, it's in your square footage, but we can throw in a second half bathroom or a bathroom down there and a bedroom and make it like an in-law unit. We can't change your footprints. We can't go out or up. We can only do work within your footprints, and there's certain scopes of work we can or can't do, and it's all listed there. But like that den, you can add another bathroom because, oh, it's right next to laundry. Boom, boom, boom. I walk in like, oh, you can add value. How much more is the second bathroom or third bathroom in a house to you when you're selling it, right?
Sure.
How many more people are you going to catch? Like, oh, grandma can move in now. Or, the nanny, we can have a nanny if we need somebody. Or my daughter's coming back from college and my second family needs, second round of kids, we need somebody to help. And my daughter's like trying to get back on her feet after college and get a job, right? I can balance all of that out. But like adding another bathroom to a house adds X much in sale potential, right? Adding another bedroom adds X much. But again, it has to be within the habitable space. So existing square footage that the county has on record. We can convert that space.
Well, and I feel like the sweet spot for you guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is like, I just see like the older generation, who doesn't have money to renovate their house, update the big systems, the knob and tube, the roof, the plumbing, to make their house more insurable, but also like sell their property for more money so they can move their tax basis. Like that to me seems like an awesome sweet spot.
Yeah.
For like, I talk to so many people that are like, oh, I want to do work on my house, but I just don't have money to do it. Like this is a solution to that, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of my current projects, actually. It's, older people or a family member inherited the home and was living in it, but then they also are now aging and want to move somewhere that's smaller. They don't want the carrying cost of a large house, especially with outdated, mechanical elements that cost you more, right? There's not that efficiency purpose. That's most of my projects these days that I've been working on is because one, there's equity in the house, so we can go to that total dollar value because those are big ticket items: roofs, water heaters, electrical, all that kind of stuff. But then they're going to see a much bigger return on investment for their sale. So yeah, that's where I think, like you said, that is one of those sweet spots. But I don't want to discourage the people who have the simple little things either. Just coming in, doing a fresh coat of paint, like retouching the flooring or installing new LVP flooring in there, updating fixtures and stuff like that. That's not going to hurt you at all. We don't shy away. We don't have a minimum budget, per se. We as a general outline, we never want to shy away from something from somebody and then make them feel like, oh, I have to have huge projects. That's not the case. And when you look at the online examples, you can dial it in by area. You can dial it in by type of house. So being a townhouse or a single family home. And then you can dial pre-sale and post-sale renos too, to kind of see what some of those examples are. Before and after pictures tell a lot, right? And it's kind of amazing when you look at some of those examples online of our before and after, which gives you our ROI. That's one of those things that really helps people understand. Okay, it's a relief. We know that somebody has our best interest in mind, because for us, we want you to make more money. We don't benefit from making more money. We benefit from completing a project and doing it right. But you guys benefit from making more money and selling the house quicker. That's the biggest thing. You sell the house quicker. You're not going to have so many hurdles where people are going to come back to you like, oh, it needs a new furnace. I want $100K. A crazy number, which they always do, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, a new roof. It's $100K. It's a 2,000 square foot house. It does not cost $100K. What are you putting on there? An addition plus a roof? So, yeah. So those are the challenges you can get ahead of, with working with Freemodel.
Yeah. What other challenges do you guys come across? Just like, I don't know, timelines or permits? Miles, because I know you probably.
I mean,
putting out fires left and right.
Roofs, I literally have in my mid-century modern a major roof leak, and that was a newer roof. So, having to go get independent roof inspections done to see like, hey, who is it? Is it the solar company's fault or is it the roofer's fault?
Sure.
And they've already come and patched an area and they didn't patch it well. And so now basically the families decided it's not worth our time. Let's just get a new roof on. That's a huge selling point, right?
Yeah.
And it's a better quality roof that we're putting on there. And I get to work in tandem with the roofers and the solar people so that the solar people's feet bases are underneath the new roofing material. So there's nobody going, not me, and pointing to the other party. Should anything fail, it's going to be one person because we're working together to get that done. So yeah, it's things like that. Unpermitted work, sometimes depending on the city, can really trip you up. We can fix unpermitted work with our work scope, but say like the city of Tiburon, they do their own inspections. The city sends their own inspector. It's called a pre-sale inspection, and they will list everything that they don't have a record of in terms of either abandoned permits that you need to fix or issues that were related to unpermitted work. And then you as a seller have to fix it before the sale, or the buyer has 30 days after they purchase it to fix it. And that is in the disclosure packet.
On that note, there are more and more cities doing those pre-inspections, right? I know San Pablo is doing one, San Rafael, if I'm not mistaken.
I haven't experienced one in San Rafael yet. But I've only been with Freemodel for less than half a year at this point, but I have a project in Tiburon where that is very much the case, and the poor homeowners now have to take on the burden of a huge, huge lift to get all this stuff removed so that they can sell it cleanly and not have somebody coming back at them saying, I want $200-300K off the price.
That's a nightmare.
It is a nightmare. And so when you speak of challenges, it is unpermitted work. It can be cities depending on their timing, mainly initial city permitting. Sometimes we kind of share which inspectors we know in the county to avoid, and maybe you cancel your appointment and get another appointment another time based on who's assigned, those little things. And then sometimes those just unforeseen issues that come up. But every time we do a change order, we also update the date realistically based on what happens. So if I open up I'm remodeling a bathroom, and unfortunately this tub's been leaking this whole time and all my floor joists need to be replaced, That is a change order, and it's going to take a bit of time because sometimes, depending on the city, they might require structural. That's a whole nother headache, right? But if I can get in there, cleanly do the work, I just let you know, hey, it's going to take us an additional 2 weeks just to manage and deal with. If there's mold, I have to get like mold,
Remediation.
yeah, a
Yeah.
specialty company to come in and deal with it. Or if we find asbestos, like I had asbestos tile floors, right? So I had to get a special remediation company in there. But again, we have all those vendors that are on our list. And if we don't, we find somebody we like, we get a couple quotes, we add them into our list. We also scrub vendors from our list. If we discovered, hey, you know what, this person's not really following through, they're not working with us, or we didn't love their workmanship. We all have our own quality of workmanship we're willing to accept. And to your point of one of those quick come in and just make it look pretty and then just assume it's done right, but then we know it's not. You can tell a home that's been done right when it's been remodeled to be sold versus just a quick and dirty flip for the purposes of selling it. Like paint splashes on your wood floors, or like random, stucco material somewhere that shouldn't be there. You're like, really? So we are constantly evolving, which is good because we all, as project directors, we have our own channel. We talk to each other. We get referrals. Hey, I worked with this vendor. What do you think of them? And then we even compare the pricing, because sometimes a vendor might try with a new project director to go a little higher in the same territory. And then we can you know what? No, get me the pricing down to this number. This is what the so-and-so gets. I should get the same pricing, right? It's no different.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned something too, just like in my brain, I was thinking, stucco where it should be. And I'm sure we've all seen light switches painted over, or like short doors is a funny one to me too, where they cut off the door and it's
know what that short door thing is? It's actually because almost always there was carpet, and the carpet and carpet pad makes it taller.
Yeah.
And then you end up with an issue with your baseboards and door trim. So I had one house, actually it was marble floors they had in, so the tile were really thick, and we were demoing that to put in all new flooring throughout so it was consistent. And then I had that problem, like trying to match that trim that's not made anymore. So my painters, I love them, and my floors, I love my flooring people. They're sitting there, and then we had like redone one room, so we were able to grab some of that trim and repurpose it. And literally, they're taking off the small splices they need to make up that difference, putting the wet putty, sanding it down, and painting it. That's all additional work. Wasn't obviously in our original quote, but that's all the work we put in because we want to turn over something that is pristine. Yeah, we don't like leaving stuff looking sloppy like that, right?
Yeah. You need that finished product. It goes from the wow factor for buyers to like, what happened there?
Right. I mean, the door gap like this, that's a different story. A smaller gap, but part of it's also like, hey, look, we're going to have this delta. Do you want us to buy new doors? Or do you want us to just kind of live with this and make sure our trim is kind of doing the work it needs to do, so it kind of tricks that mind's eye, right? So that's one of those things. Again, that's the collaboration piece. We come back to like, hey, this has come up. We can address it this way. It'll cost X, or we can address it this way and it'll cost Y. What would your preference be? Or it's already in our KLM quote that we gave you, right? You're good to go. Yeah. So yeah, we want you guys to feel like you have ownership in this process too. It's not like you're just handing this over to us and then we're like, no, I don't, the design process, all of that. There will be times we'll push back. We're like, no, we're not doing a fuchsia wall because Barbie pink was all the rage. That is not going to help you. Right? Sure. And also like people want clean white lines. We used to do one highlight wall. We might still do that in one space of a certain muted color, but Swiss coffee is banned from any of my painters' palettes. I have told them time and time again. You and I think I've had that conversation about it at that open house. I hate Swiss coffee. It cannot be in anybody's palette. It is a standard go-to that everybody's put on there, and it doesn't get. Yes, it's a muted platform for you to look at the house, but honestly, white makes everything bigger, makes everything feel cleaner. And you went to all this effort to get the house looking great, and then you're gonna go throw on Swiss coffee.
Totally. I'm all about eggshell personally. Yeah, eggshell all day.
Or satin. Satin I find is even better than eggshell. It's a little flatter of a sheen to eggshell, and I'll put that on trims. But yeah, so I don't like the high gloss. Even in the bathrooms, I'll get the more expensive specialty paint, not just the ones that they just add the mold additive, the anti-mold additive into it, right? I go for the next grade higher at like Sherman-Williams, because I can get the better satin effect on it than that high gloss you get when you're going and doing a bathroom or a kitchen where you want to account for the moisture. Even a laundry room. Like, people don't even think about that, but your laundry can build up a lot of moisture in it. Right?
Yeah.
You got to make sure there's the right venting. You got to make, and that's the other piece. When you're getting ready to sell a house, you got to update stuff to code. There's no GFCIs sitting on, certain distance from the kitchen sinks, or you have what people updated an original 2-prong and just made it a 3-prong, but never grounded it. No. We go in, we spend the time, make sure everything's grounded properly, or you need a vent fan now. Your bathrooms used to have a window that used to be okay. Nope, they want a vent fan. Almost always now they still want a vent fan in there. So you have to install that.
It sounds like you also give sellers just like a ton of peace of mind, knowing that they're not going to be liable for like not disclosing something that maybe they didn't even know about. But I mean, like, you talk about 3-prong ungrounded potential fire hazards there, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's huge.
Yeah. It's easy to swap something out and just put your black and red lines on something and make it look like it works as a 3-prong and it's grounded, but then you can blow your whole computer system and home computer setup, right? It's just because you don't have it correctly grounded. Or reversed. Sometimes it happens. Somebody's at home, they're watching that YouTube video. Okay, I got it. And a little zits there and there. Okay, I got it. Now I got it. But
totally.
They cross their wires and it's reverse polarity on there, and you're like, oh, okay, why is this not working that right? Or why is this really hot right now? My plug's always really hot when I go to pull it out or turn it off, right?
That's funny.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, like, we're not a political podcast for any means, but I know these like tariffs are on the forefront. Do you see building costs going up at some point for sellers? Like, is it better to get in now, or where do you think the future of like renovating houses is going?
I mean, it's similar to when we had that lumber shortage a couple of years back during COVID, right? That really affected our project costs on other places and stuff like that. It will affect our costs. I think the big ticket items like appliances, even cabinetry, depending on where they're made. My cabinet people, I've asked them this in advance, and they sell, Mills, which is a standard line that's really decent quality, good middle ground quality. And then now they're carrying an Italian and Spanish European style line. And so far, they're saying their prices are not going to go up. Like, they've kind of they're big enough, they have enough warehouse space, they've pre-stocked some stuff, but there's no guarantee. And, we all would love to have that magic 8-ball, right? To say like, okay, this is what's going to happen now. It's literally day to day, and we can't be bouncing around. We just got to go with what we go with. And when we, like I said, when we price something out on a project and we buy it, and then suddenly, like, I'm getting ready to I buy all my appliances. As soon as the project's ready, my big ticket items are the first things I buy, and almost always get it delivered and stored on site, or delivered and stored somewhere that I have that storage that's safe. So that I know those things, I don't have to worry about it. Because I can find those little things like, oh, I was going to do this kind of recessed light with this trim package. I can find an alternative. Or I was going to do this kind of handle. I can a similar looking handle that's, square base with a rounded ribs, a handled piece in, say, like brushed brass. I can find that similar thing. It might not be the ribbed portion on the handle, but it's still the same look. So aesthetically, we're still getting the same vibe. So for me, certain projects, I don't want people to feel pressured, like, hey, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. You want to go into this as wisely as you can. And we as project directors try to be as conscientious of what we know and are hearing from our vendors, like, hey, get ready, prices are going to go up. So instead of, say, doing like, let's say for appliances, you might have gone with the cafe line, but suddenly the cafe line's really high. I'm going to switch it to the GE profile. It's still the same high quality appliance, but there's a sale happening right now, but I'm still getting the same slate color effect that we had put into our model, but I'm getting sale prices versus the price jump from when I quoted you to when the clients finally signed. Our quotes are good for 30 days, by the way. So that's one piece of mind your clients can have to think about stuff. And that's the same for our vendors' quotes. Now, I have projects where it's an elderly parent and the family's trying to figure out what to do and they're hemming and hawing. So I put together a proposal. We just warn them, like, you can come back to me in 5 months. I'm happy to relook at everything and then reprice stuff. We cannot guarantee you're going to get the same price.
Yeah.
You know, that's just not fair for anybody. But I'm constantly shopping for things on sale when I'm building out my quotes. You know, I try to get the best price for everybody, myself included.
So you were talking and you actually sparked a couple questions that I had in my mind. Like, is the runtime for cabinets still like a few weeks for like a custom kitchen?
So yeah, most of my kitchens, quote unquote, are custom in that you're trying to either duplicate what's existing in that footprint, or like I have for instance, I'm doing a townhouse right now in Alameda. It was a tiny U-shaped kitchen. Literally, you walk in, there's the oven, and there's 2 9-inch holes that have cabinet drawers on them. They're not even drawers, like a door. You can't do anything with that. And it actually, when I went back to my guys, like, hey, and then the sink's on this side where the island is. And I'm like, I went back to my cabinet. We priced everything out based on the existing layout. I was like, what? Can we just add like another 12-inch cabinet, 18-inch cabinet here? What would that do? I have room to push out. I don't need my overhang to be, 24 inches. I have room where the overhang area is and still have an eat-in bar. It ended up being cheaper for us to open that, even with the labor we needed to move the plumbing to make that sink work, because we're shifting it back 12 inches, just on the layout piece. It made it bigger. It made it more, warm and welcoming. But my timeline didn't change. Like, my time was still, for that cabinet line was like two weeks. And then I always set, as soon as I order, I set my delivery date.
Yeah.
I can move it a little bit, but I'll know based on my schedule of what I have to do and what inspections I need to get. Like, I'll pre-plan with my vendor, like, okay, I want to target this date. Can you put me on for this date? And then backup is this date. Can you just save me that spot? I do enough business with them that I have that capability. Or like I had a huge project and I had my date set, and then they're short-staffed right now. They're trying to move me. I was like, hey, ask somebody else. Please contact your other clients. I need to keep these dates. These are my dates, because literally your guys are coming in day 1. They're doing my kitchen. They're right behind them the next day. My appliances are getting installed. And then your guys can finish the rest of the house on day 2, all the other vanities and everything else. But I really need you to try and keep this date for me. Ask another client if they're willing to get pushed out by a couple of days. And, they're working on it. They're gonna try to keep true to what I originally had in place.
Honestly, having someone like you, like, keeping the guys in check is worth its weight in gold. Like, managing contractors it takes a special type of person, I think, to do that. And like, sometimes they just don't show up, So
or you have to pivot. Like, we have these rainstorms. Like right now, my landscaping and siding projects have completely flipped. So like, okay, look, this change of plans. We're gonna just focus on this. Let's get this done now. Oh, look, the rain shifted. You get an extra dry day. This is where you're going to focus on the dry day. Then I'm moving you to this. You can do your fence in the rain, but I need the dirt moved before the rain. So get me leveled on the dirt and get the equipment. And then, okay, then we're done. And I'm literally looking at the rain calendar, and I'm looking at this person can come in. My roofers are coming in here. And then right behind them, I need to get my siding done before my roofers come, but my roofers can work around that. And then I need to repair everything on the inside that got damaged in the living room. So that's new insulation and sheetrock work. But my roofers are going to take a week. But by day 3, it should be, I'm clear. So then I have my other crew coming in while the roofers are still on there and my siding's being done and the painters are doing the painting while the roofers are doing, like, it is literally the biggest juggling act. And you have to have people. Yeah.
It has to be up to code and done right?
Right,
so.
right. And then on top of that piece, right, that's always in the back. It's always in the background. That is always your guiding light. It's to code and it's legal. Like, I got to raise my railings up. I got to do this. I got to do that. But it's a juggling of, oh, shoot, it wasn't supposed to rain. We had that huge rainstorm that's when we discovered our lovely roof leak that damaged all of my living room ceiling and my subfloor. And
Unreal.
now I have to adjust, right? And then we're like, okay, we're on track for you guys can do this landscaping first, and then we'll do the siding, and then the roofers are coming in, and then, your scaffolding can go down. They don't need it. Oh no, shit, there's a new storm coming in. Okay, everybody change, everybody pivot course. And this crew, you're going to be working down here. This crew, you're working outside. You got to work with these guys. And then again, coming back to coordinating with my roofers and the solar people. The solar people need to come remove their panels and store them safely. They need to keep their feet on because we need to send pictures for potential issues, litigation. The family can deal with it, but we document everything when there's an issue. So my roofers, they did their scans, their documentation on where the issues were, and then once the panels are off, we're going to really be able to get in there and see who was responsible at what points of the roof leak, because it spanned the whole living room area. And then have in tandem a working relationship of, okay, now we can remove the old roof, save the feet, have my solar people come in, install the feet beforehand, and then have my roofers apply their new material over it. And then we know it's secure. And they have a custom sleeve they're making for us so that they can put it over the feet base. And then my solar people just come back, put their panels on, reconnect the power lines, and we're done. And now I will never have for 50 years a leak in that area or that roof. And while we're in there, let's replace the skylights because those are age damaged and stuff like that, right? So
You're talking about like all the biggest challenges. I think working with solar people alone, you should get a cookie just for that, because they're like the hardest people to deal with sometimes.
well, and people are thinking they want solar because they're going to do the car charger because they're trying to be environmentally friendly. They're doing all the right steps. But you
Yeah.
don't stop to think like, hey, how is it being applied to the roof that I have, and does that void my warranty?
Yeah.
And then are they going to cover any damage after the fact now? Because my warranty's voided. So the other vendor, the roofer who installed it's not going to cover anything. Forget
Yeah.
the labor warranty. That's different than the actual roofing material. Because then the roofing material thing will be like, well, you put your feet on there. That's it. You installed this kind of bracket. That's it. Sorry. Next,
Yeah.
and then the solar people, you have to make sure they're people who are going to still be around, by the way. How many solar companies now have we known in the Bay Area alone who've come in and out of business in the last 20 plus years?
Yeah.
And then sub installers who are contracted with these bigger companies who provide the solars and the backup batteries and all that, right? We just got to make sure, we're part troubleshooter, we're part designer, we're part project manager. There's all these moving pieces. And you as a homeowner, you've been living comfortably in your house. Oh, you noticed a little funny spot on the ceiling, but you didn't think anything of it. And I'm moving, it's okay, right? So,
Yeah.
but that little spot now, unfortunately, is going to add another 20 plus K of work on the inside. And then, because it's been slowly leaking and you have dry rot in your studs and framing. We got to fix that, your sill plates, all that kind of stuff. So, it benefits to have somebody who, because we open stuff up, we let you know what's come up, but we try as best as we can to think ahead while talking to you about, this is what we found. You gave us the inspection report. This is what they found. These are potential trouble areas you guys are going to have to be aware of that might be a change order coming up. Like I had squishy floors in that townhouse by the tub. I was really worried there would be some dry rot, right? It's been there since the 60s. Luckily, thank God, my subfloor was free and clear. So the agent's like, please take pictures so we can say no dry rot in the tub area, blah, blah, blah. Because even the inspector noted the squishy floors,
Wow.
and so those little things will help you guys, again, selling. It's a clean house. Everything's been updated to code. Everything is, current that we've touched. This is key. What Freemodel touches, what has been done after or not within our scope is nothing we can guarantee. But what we touch, it is to code. We make sure it's to code. We do it right. And we do it once and we do it right.
I love it. So, I mean, I'm going to link you guys in the podcast and everything so people can get a hold of you. But what's the process to get started? Like, do people have to go through an agent? Should they reach out to you directly?
I'll let
We just
Laura
call
speak to
Maya to
that.
come over and
Yeah,
go
so
on.
I would say go to our website, freemodel.com. All of our project directors have profiles up there as well, but to get linked to a project director right there at freemodel.com, it says right in the middle of the page, get a free estimate. And that's how you would get paired to a project director. And that, like Maya said in the beginning, if you end up working with a project director that you like working with and they're servicing like a particular area, because that's your farming area, our project director would be happy to just have you text them and say, hey, we're here, here's another property, come see and give us a quote. So you don't always have to go through that initial, you know, go to our website and fill out that form if you're already connected to a project director. But
Mm-hmm.
I always recommend go to freemodel.com, hit that, get a free estimate, and then we'll go from there.
Cool. And like for the estimates, a project director comes out to the house, does a walkthrough, and you guys
We
like,
are boots on the ground right out
yeah.
of the gates. We're not doing anything from a call center. We pair you to a local project director, then you schedule a time with them and the homeowner to meet at the property, and the process just starts from there. Everyone wants this timeline to move as quickly as possible, and we understand that time is money, and so we move as quickly as possible. Our project directors have their teams that are ready to start working. Usually my project directors say we're just waiting for the homeowner to sign the paperwork before they can actually get started on the project. So we're just chomping at the bit, ready to get that project started.
Yeah. And to Laura's point there, so you contact us, right? And like you're gonna contact me like, hey, I have this project. You give me the rundown of what you think it is. You give us the pre-sale and post-sale reno. This is again working directly with an agent, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you can do the same thing through the agent side of it, where it's like, I need to get me a free quote, right? So then they'll link you. Our team will look at where the address is and then who the project directors are, because some areas will have a few project directors by volume. We've had a lot of work going on there. So it's based on who it has availability, who can take on that scope of project based on what you give us as a general description. It always helps us, just so you agents know, to try and give us as much detail as you can of things you think will help you get to that post reno value. So when I'm thinking it's $1 million as is, nothing's changed, no paint, no nothing. I'm just putting it on the market, putting a for sale sign, that's it. And I'm going to have my open houses and see what happens. That's your, as is value. And then you're running down on the list when you send your inquiry, like, I think we need interior, exterior painting, we need landscaping, we needed updated kitchens, we need updated flooring. You can put as much detail as you can. The more, the better. But usually when we first get connected, before we meet with the client, I like to talk to you guys, the agents, be like, hey, okay, this is what I'm seeing. This is what the post reno value is. This is your list. Is there anything else you want me to kind of look at too, since I'm coming there to see what might or might not help? Because I always like to kind of start off my proposal process with, you give me your list, and then I might notice certain things you might not have caught. Like, I think we should address this thing too, and it'll be X. I would like to then, I give you the initial proposal, and I like to sit and have a Zoom meeting or in person, but Zoom usually works because everybody can look at the screens, and I'll put up that proposal and we'll go into it line item by line item, section by section. Well, why is this really important? Do we really need this cost? Okay, let's reduce it. How's that going to affect our timeline? That's another question we talked about earlier, right? Oh,
Yeah.
new windows are really going to affect our timeline. These windows are fine. They'll do fine. We can give to the new homeowners, hey, the new windows will cost X. If you want to do it, again, some of that is up to you, but based on what we know can hurt your sale. If you have a cost for something to be replaced, like, well, I want this credit of $60K because that's what you said it's going to cost me on the windows, right? Versus
Yeah.
you can give that after the fact if you want. But then I like to talk with the agents before meeting, and then we'll go meet at the site, and then we'll review the proposal. And the proposal, I generally go wider so that we can go narrow, and I'm not missing anything. I hate to try and do change orders. My change orders are almost always going to be tied to, we open something up and there is an issue, and we need to fix it.
Yeah.
I don't like coming back constantly. Hey, another change order. Oops, another change order. Now, if somebody decides, you know what, I don't like this cabinet line as much as I thought I did, I want to move to this cabinet line. Okay, that's a different kind of change order. We even offer to meet with clients at certain showrooms to go over some of the material purchases, and that's more on the post-sale reno. But even some homeowners want to be involved in the pre-sale reno. So like, okay, come meet me. These are the things I'm thinking. Let's look at it physically in that space. This is what it's going to look like. And then we go and we put it all together. We look at that initial proposal. We clean it up, get it tighter, and then we send you the final. once that final proposal is, as Laura said, sometimes it's just us waiting for the clients to sign it. That process is pretty quick. We send the clients at the contract that lists, the total project costs, and then that's through DocuSign. And now we have an online platform that handles the notary piece and registering the lien, that is our project cost, onto the title. That process has also been expedited. In certain counties, it takes a little longer. In other counties, not so much. But like I said earlier, I have everything in my shopping cart ready to go. As soon as I get from my team lien registered and they get notice from the county, I then hit purchase and I start to purchase what I need to purchase. Because then I have my guys, and part of this too on the back end that you guys don't know as we're talking, I'm coordinating my vendors. All right, this project, we're looking like we're going to start in this week. I need you guys to be ready. You're going in first. You're working on the outside. So my timeline is still on track. I'm getting whatever scans converted. I'm getting architect plans if I need them updated, notations made so I can submit permits while all this other work is happening. If I can get a demo permit, I like to get a demo permit because that gives me coverage for getting the work going before I get my final approved permit set, right? So there's certain things you can do in advance of your permit being approved. And almost always we try to target quick over-the-counter style permit review process where we can. Again, it is a where we can. It's based on the scope. But again, for us, it's always, we want to be as quick and efficient as we can. We're ready to go. Contract signed. Boom, boom, boom. Already people are scheduled. I'm ready to go. And then we notify you like, okay. And then sometimes things happen. Like you signed the contract. You found a rental. It fell through. We need to push out by 2 weeks. You guys need to still move out, but we can start working on the outside while you're still in there, or you got delayed, kid got sick, you can finish packing up, something came up, some family emergency. Fine, we can continue doing certain work on the outside while you're there, as long as it doesn't bother you. And if you have a little kid, tell us the napping schedule. We'll work around that as best as we can too. But we really try to be as least intrusive into your lives as possible, and giving you a seamless, breathing transaction to get yourself out of your home, which is an emotional period anyways, and get ready to move on and get excited about the next venture of what you're going to do and how you're going to move on to get to your next house and not have to worry about what's going on in the background.
No, I love that. And you guys accommodate napping schedules too. I mean, that's huge.
That's even for when I bring my vendors on site to finalize my numbers. I actually like to bring my vendors. Sometimes I'll even do it where I'll meet with the client and the agent, and if there's enough time, I'll have 4 or 5 of my key vendors on site with me. So I'll have the first hour meeting with you guys. I'm like, hey, do you mind? I need to take pictures. I need to do room scans. And this is before we've even gotten the final approval. I want to be ready. I want those scans ready because that takes us some time on the reverse end for that company to convert to digital plans. So I want to have all that ready to go. It's my time. It's that I'm not charging forward, right? It's just, I want to make sure I'm getting this right. And I'll have my vendors there because I don't want to waste your time with a crazy high number and then my vendors come back with something more reasonable. We all know now that we've worked with our vendors, generally, okay, redo a bathroom, this person charges me X dollars, right? This is what I'm going to put into my quote. But if I have electrical, I need to bring my guy in because he'll look at certain things. Like, what's the panel looking like? What can I see in terms of wiring? Even open up some of those sockets and see how it's connected, and you can tell what kind of wiring is in there. So those little things, I like to try and get ahead, get my vendors on site. Or I'll say, hey, can I come back in the next week? When's your kid napping? Okay, 11 to 12, great. Can your kid be out playing outside with the nanny, or you guys go to one of you go to the park, and we're all in there doing our measurings and looking at stuff, and I'm literally orchestrating, okay, you go look at that, tell me what you need. And I usually will create a list, especially if you gave me your inspection report. I will create a list for each of my vendors when they walk through the site to make sure they're hitting and looking at that so they give me accurate pricing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Trying to think what else. I think we covered a lot. Yeah, so all right, well, if anybody has any questions, I'll drop your links in the YouTube channel and Spotify. and we'll have them reach out to you directly or through Freemodel. But I really appreciate you ladies being here.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Yeah.
having us.
Any closing thoughts that you want to share?
I'll let Laura go.
What do you think, Laura?
We just appreciate you taking the time to, share our services with your network, because I think people don't realize we're here. We've been around for 5 years, but I talk to agents all the time that have never heard of us. So I think just letting homeowners and agents know that this service is even available. So we really appreciate the exposure.
Yeah, it was wild. I met Maya at my open house in Alameda, and she was talking to me about it. I was like, "Wait, you guys give away free money?" It's like literally in the name. And then Laura, you reached out to me just like
random. It was
randomly.
Yeah, I
random.
haven't had a chance
It was
to connect
meant
you
to
guys
be.
yet.
Yeah. So I think it was meant to be, and I'm excited to kind of spread the word about you guys, because I do think there's an inherent need for what it is you're doing, and who doesn't like free money when it goes into their house? And like, the other thought I had is, for sellers that want to finance and manage this themselves, just the interest rates right now on HELOCs are like 8, 9, 10%, and it fluctuates. And like a 0% loan, if your goal is to exit the house anyway, on top of getting the project managed, it seems like a no-brainer. So,
Right. Yeah. And
looking
getting
forward
it done
to
right?
and getting it done right. Yeah, totally. So, thank you, ladies, again.
Wait, I have one other
What's
thought.
up?
For
Tell me.
for the people that are listening that are agents, one of the things that we also offer if you do a project with us is a $1,000 co-marketing campaign, whether that's print or video. So for all those agents that are listening to this and thinking this could be a good option for their client, if we work with you and complete the project, then we can do a co-marketing campaign with you and help get the word out even more.
I love that. I'll link that in the comments too, in case they don't make it to the end.
Right.
Right.
All right, cool. Thank you again, ladies. And
Thank you, Nash.
Laura and Maya from Freemodel. Appreciate you, ladies.
Yeah, thanks, Nash. Good to see you.